Okay, fifth graders, we're starting 13.3, chapter 13, section 3, and this is page 545. And it says Mrs. Katz, I guess, is planning her family trip to the museum. She made a list of expenses, and then she wrote the following expression to show how she can calculate the total cost. And here's the expression right here. Okay, it's 6 times, and then in parentheses, 420 plus 8 plus 12 plus 350. It says, how many people do you think are in the family, and how can you tell? Well, I think most of you probably recognize how many people are in the family, but if not, let's walk through this just for a moment. So the round-trip bus fare is $4.20. And there it is right there, $4.20. The lunch, $8, and there's the $8. The entrance fee is $12. There's the $12, and then finally the lecture is $3.50, and there's $3.50. And all of those are being multiplied by 6. So the obvious answer is there's 6 members in the family. So, for example, if it was, if the only thing they were paying for was the lunch, it'd be 6 times 8, which would be 48. So the way you would do this problem, of course, is what's in the parentheses first. You would add all those up and then multiply that number by 6. And that's how you could tell how many members are in the family. Next page talks about clown costumes and Jimmy's costume and his dad's costume. I wasn't too keen on that clown costume, so I decided to put in a Captain America costume. I enjoyed those Avenger movies, and I'm kind of sad to see them end. But anyway, so here's Captain America, and the blue fabric is 7/8 of a yard. The red fabric is a half a yard, and the white fabric is 1 3/4 yards. And then as you read further down here, his dad's, or actually they have it up here. That's the boy's costume. His dad's costume is the same, except it's being multiplied by 3. And so what's the question, I guess? How does the amount of fabric needed for his dad's costume compare to the amount needed for Jimmy's costume? Well, it's 3 times as much. And they pretty much answer that there for you. A little bit further down at the bottom, it says, convince me. And it says the 7 students in the sewing class equally share the cost of fabric and other supplies. Last month, each student paid this much right here, $167.94 plus $21.41, and divided that by 7. So you would do what's in the parentheses first, and you would divide it by 7. And then it says this month, each student paid this much, $77.23 plus $6.49. And again, that's divided by 7 because there's 7 students that are sharing the cost. And it says without doing any calculations, in which month did each student pay more? Well, it would be it'd be last month, obviously. And the reason is because the total, what's in the parentheses, is in last month is much greater than the total in this month. 167 is a lot bigger than $77, and $21 is a lot more than $6. All right, so you can explain that and put it in your own words. Okay, next page. Whoops. Which is the guided practice. Make sure this is still recording. Yep, still recording. Good. Let's see here. Do you understand The number of yards of fabric needed, so this is going back to the Captain America costume. For Rob's costume is, so Rob is a third party here. We're not talking about Jimmy. We're not talking about Jimmy's dad. We're talking about Rob. And it says how does the amount of fabric needed for Rob's costume compare to the amount of fabric needed for Jimmy's costume? Explain. Well, Jimmy's costume was just adding up these fractions right here, okay? And then his dad's costume was adding those up and then being multiplied by 3. Now, Rob here, it's being divided by 2. So when you divide a number by 2, what happens? What happens when we divide 10 by 2? 10 divided by 2, what's that equal? That's 5. Okay, 20. What's 20 divided by 2? 20 divided by 2 is 10. Notice what's happening to these numbers. They're being cut in half. 10 is twice that of 5, and 20 is twice that of 10. So when you divide something by 2, it's being essentially cut in half. So Rob's costume, so you could phrase it, Rob suit, that's easier than costume, is half that of Jimmy. Because it is being divided by 2. Okay. And then all of these, you're going to like these. It says, without doing any calculations, explain why the following number sentence is true. So here's the first, whoops. Is it still recording? Cancel. Let's find out. Oh, yes, it's still recording. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. So without doing any calculations, explain why this following number sentence is true. So we have 14 plus 413 times 7. And the other one is 6 plus 413 times 7. So you should recognize that both of them have a 413 times 7 in parentheses. So that number is going to be the same. So what's really the only difference between these? The only difference is this one's 14 plus and this one's 6 plus. And so there's the symbol. That's larger than 6 plus. Why is it true? Because 14 is larger than 6. You know, as I do these, I should tell you, I do want you to do 1, 2, and I want you to do 3, 4, and 5, and then 6 and 7. Let's look at another one here. I think you guys are getting the idea here. Again, without doing any calculations, I'm looking at number 3 now. Describe how expression A compares to expression B. So look at A. It's 8 times, and then in parentheses, 41,516 minus 987. And then B, it's the same thing, except it's not being multiplied by 8. How does it compare? A, I guess this is what they'd want you to do. You'd simply write A is greater than B. 4 and 5, you're having to do the same thing here. Look at number 5. It says 8.2 plus, and then in parentheses, 7.1 divided by 5. And then over here it has 7.1 divided by 5, so that's the same thing. And then plus 8.2. Okay, so plus 8.2 plus 8.2. How do they compare? Well, the order has changed. The operations are the same. How do they compare? They're going to be equal. Not going to be any difference. Okay. Let's move down a little bit. Let's see here. 6 and 7. I think you guys can do those. Again, just put greater than, less than, or equal to. And then you guys can also do 8 and 9 and 10 and 11, 12 and 13. Let's take a look here. Problem solving. Next page. A 4-story parking garage has spaces for 240 cars, 285 cars, 250 cars, 267 cars. While one floor is closed for repairs, the garage now has spaces for 240, 250, 267. So what are we missing here? I'd say we're missing, looks like the 285. How many spaces are there on the floor that is closed? Well, I just said it. It's 285. So you'd write 285. Explain. Sometimes, how do you explain that? Because 285 is missing from the second oh, that's terrible. Try that again here. From the second set of numbers. I don't know what else they want you to say, so. Okay. I don't want to make this video too long here. Let me move down a little further. So it looks like 17 would be the end. So now we're looking at 14, 15, 16, and 17. Let's look at 14. That'll be the last one I'll do for you guys. Brooke's score in a card game is 713 plus 102 plus 516. I don't see that it's related to those cards. She draws one of the cards shown, so that's one of these cards. Now her score is 713 plus 102 plus 516 divided by 2. Which card did she draw? Divided by 2. Do you see a card that says divided by 2? Well, it's not lose 200 points. It's not add 200 points. If it was double your score, then it would be times 2. But it's not. It's being divided by 2. So which one would it be? It'd be cut your score in half. That's the card. So put that in your own words and explain it. Since I pretty much just did that for you. Okay, that's it for 13. What is this? 13.3. And this will be your work for this week here, beginning. What's the date? On May 18th. Okay.